Chapter-9. Spiritual knowledge and the pacifying of the desire to know. From the moment of being consciousness, as one's own being, one aspires to be more and more happy, and this is the origin of all activity in the universe. This is how the universe came into being, through the activity of the primal Atmic consciousness. But what is this atomic consciousness? There was nothing, not even a trace of appearance before self-consciousness. And in this state there came into being the consciousness of one's own existence, the awareness of one's own being. In fact, there was neither time nor space nor cause. The awareness had no cause. It is futile to name one. There was no time, hence it cannot be dated. There was no space. Its location is meaningless. That is why the Vedas, the Shrutis, and the great yogis like Shankara declare on the ground of intuitive, direct experience that it has neither cause, nor time, nor space. There was no sun then, for there was no space for a sun to be. Yet the atomic consciousness was there, and was felt as such, and nothing more. Why so? For there was nothing over and above it to be aware of. The awareness only of being was there. How long this state lasted, there are no means to ascertain. But the great miracle is that the self-consciousness was there, and with that Atman there was the cosmic will, followed by its realization. This is how the miracle materialized and was later designated as God. Hence man was convinced that whatever there was, a miracle there was God, and wherever there was God, there was miracle. This conviction led him to please God. But he could not specify the essential nature of God. Different people look to different forms of worship, and the practice goes on. That God and miracle are one is true, but the method of interpretation here is absolutely different from what it is elsewhere. One who desires nothing but the vision of God can alone find it, understand it. And then the wonder of wonders is that he attains to absolute bliss. Only the illumined consciousness in the beginning participates in the bliss, for it alone has a yearning for perfect peace. It has gone through various incarnations. Incarnations are the changes in its form, in its quality and situations, according to its interests and will. All this is due to its will. It has the natural characteristic of assuming the form willed. The atomic consciousness, on account of its will and its instantaneous realization, became many and pervasive. All this is its own nature and form. Though apparently many, It is all one in essence, and it has extended its own being in all possible varieties. The energy of the single atom has diversified itself into so many centers, each one with its own peculiarity and will and conflict. At any given moment, the innumerable centers are willing in a variety of ways, and every movement of will comes into conflict with the rest. The inevitable result is the great struggle. Generally, the willing atom does not know the whither and what of its will, but the effect is bound to be there. The tangible result of the wills of the willing atoms is to be witnessed at the moment of the cosmic destruction, when the whole universe is reduced to ashes. But the loving wills are not cancelled altogether. The great moments of happiness in the world are a result of love-infused will. The characteristic of the individual energy to will is always operative. It is its essence, and it owes it to the primordial energy. None can ever be self-conscious without this characteristic. Whoever experiences self-awareness does so exclusively in virtue of this characteristic and of nothing else. To think oneself to be anything else is duality and degeneration. The primal energy first willed and became many will centers. But in reality it is one, but appears to be many due to ignorance. The ignorant creature thinks itself to be something different, but there is no change in the original fiber. What is different in it is only this ignorant identity, this idea of difference. But it can be removed by upasana, and ultimately oneness is realized. It is stated above that there was no time, nor space, nor cause at the moment of the first quiver in the atomic energy. But how then it comes to be that we do speak of these dimensions and concepts? The reason is this. The quivering atomic energy is designated as the great principle by Vedanta. The essential characteristic of the principle is consciousness. The felt awareness expands itself into the ether, the akasha, or subtle space, the very next moment. It itself is the prime cause, the first moment. How can there be the consciousness of time if there is no awareness? The expanse of the ether itself is the space. And hence the three are one single great principle. With a single quality, this principle became space, time, and cause. Next came the three gunas and the 5 elements. The speed was simply immeasurable. Awareness transformed itself into ether, and this turned into space. The original scintillation of will got moving in space, and that was the air. The air gathered momentum, and fire came into existence. The throbbing of the fire increased and became cold, and that was water. The water got cooler still and was turned into earth. All the characteristics of the previous forms are crystallized in the earth and vibrate there. In virtue of this peculiarity, there come into being innumerable varieties of living beings and plants, and the original quiver pulsates in and through their vital sap. The scintillating characteristic prior to ether is filled in every electron and proton, and is constantly increasing in strength. As long as the quiver in the atoms is operative, so long the constituents must be in motion. The original will pervades the whole range of moving and immovable beings, and is constantly active there. But the poor ignorant man thinks he can do something which may be good or bad, and feels himself to be happy or miserable. But the original consciousness sees nothing except itself. It has no organs, yet it is in action with innumerable organs. It is never polluted, nor can it ever be. Consciousness imprisoned in the petty physical frame of the body suffers in virtue of its own limitations. The various conscious centers, hedged by the limiting adjuncts, only think that they are different from the original source. But there is only one being, one spirit, one formless quality that is timeless, non-spatial, overflowing with immensity, as the one absolute pure consciousness or Brahman. There is no scope for difference and distinction. Everything takes place at the proper moment in accordance with the law that binds all. But the ignorant man, deluded by the narrow interests of I and mine, suffers pain for nothing. But everything materializes at the proper moment. When Ravana, or the demonic energy of ego, becomes unbearable, Rama is there to give relief. When Kamsa, the tyrant ruler, rules supreme, Krishna is there as an antidote. This is how the rhythm of ups and downs is maintained. The controlling force of all these events is the same, and it never changes. It cannot be that there is one God in one age and another in a different one. And yet the ignorant man thinks it otherwise. Just a single quality gives birth to the glow of the expanded universe. In the absence of that one quality, all is pure silence. When this one single quality is known and befriended, the heart mingles with the heart. Confidence becomes one with the confidant. There is that supreme sense of unchanging oneness in all, and the awareness of the characteristics and adjectives as belonging to the one. The supreme unity is realized and is called the Supreme Self, Param Atman. All time, all space, and all causation has become one, Param Atman, for eternity. And that one alone is all active. It has no gain nor loss, nor death. It is unborn, eternal, and yet is born every moment and also manifests itself in every epoch. All spiritual and intellectual knowledge comes to rest there.